Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conf42, the Platform Engineering Edition. I'm really excited to share our experiences and journey so far in building a serverless generative AI platform. My name is Mallina, and I'm Chief Technology Officer at Softrams. I've been really lucky to have been building teams and software solutions for more than 25 years, and the last 7 years at Softrams itself. I'm also the co-founder and CEO of a 5-year-old nonprofit organization called Teaching for Good. This is a very unique edutech nonprofit. It empowers anybody that is interested to teach, train, mentor, or coach. At the same time, you can actually use this platform to raise funds for a nonprofit of your choice. So in other words, we are a nonprofit and we support raising funds for any nonprofit of your choice by leveraging your skills and passion to teach and mentor others. I also had a great privilege of collaborating and working with exceptional teams worldwide, teams in Germany, UK, France, India, China, Russia, and of course, US, and have built mission critical systems in telecom, supply chain, particularly in auto industry, healthcare, working with federal agencies, and my favorite and pretty close to my heart is edutech. I'm not that active on Twitter. Please hit me up on LinkedIn if you want to connect and chat about pretty much anything you want to chat about. I've been working with Softrams for almost 7.5 years now, and Softrams is one of the fastest growing civic digital services firms. We support a variety of mission critical loads for our federal agency customers. We have been working hard to bring some of these generative AI experiences and solutions that depend on the generative AI into our work with our federal agencies. And as these agencies provide very unique opportunities and different levels of constraints and complexity. And that's one of the factors actually that led us to build this GenAI platform. This can be deployed in entirety into any customer environment, for example, and go from an experiment to production in days to weeks, rather than weeks to months it used to take us to build ML experiences, for instance. And I will definitely touch a few aspects and these unique constraints later in the discussion. Just a shameless plug, if anybody is looking for an opportunity, take a look at some of the open positions at Softrams. It's a great place to work, and it's one of the top workplaces in the US. And it has been recognized for almost 4th year in a row for innovation and leadership culture. Given that this is an online virtual conference, instead of polling you to see where you are and what you are doing, I will make a few assumptions and discuss various aspects. But please hit me up on LinkedIn if you have any specific questions or want to take this conversation to a different level. I'm sure many of you are using GenAI for fun, and some probably have also started using variety of GenAI tools at work, maybe GitHub Copilot or similar, for example, or automated peer reviews or tools to generate documentation, release notes, just to start with. And how about building new generative AI applications? I'm pretty sure you're as excited as me and everybody else in the ecosystem when ChatGPT got released. We all wanted to build these new AI experiences into new applications, as well as bring these Gen AI experiences to existing applications. Or at least most of you must be experimenting with various tools and LLM models, probably some of the software as a services that are out in the ecosystem as well. As you all know, AI and ML that we all know and told as in historians that there is an AI or ML before ChatGPT and there is an AI and ML after the ChatGPT. That this transformation is pretty surreal in many ways, and this is now very pervasive as well across the board, across the world. The excitement and ease of building applications, especially made possible by ChatGPT, is totally profound. Suddenly, the AI or ML, or I would say especially generative AI, is on the list of top priorities across the board around the world. Shifting the perception of AI and ML from what used to be like a little bit more complicated and costly process, even more important of the talent like need for data scientists, it only so many organizations were able to afford to build those end-to-end ML experiences. And the ChatGPT brought this into something that is now totally accessible to pretty much everyone. And though we have come a long way in terms of automation, tooling, and systems to build amazing AI ML applications before, but ChatGPT and LLM models in general are taking us to a completely different level in order of magnitude in terms of speed of innovation. One fundamental pivot for that entire ecosystem is that LLMs made this natural language as a new programming language, making it possible for anybody in the organization, technical, non-technical, business teams, doesn't matter, to be able to leverage LLMs, create apps and assistants purely using plain everyday language. Of course, they still need to learn a little bit about how to create those instructions and how to work with these prompts, but they can do it pretty quickly. And with that, people from all walks of life now can create exceptional user experiences without the need for large teams and large coding exercises or workflows to be able to bring these experiences into life. In practice, I definitely believe, and I have seen it firsthand, so many of these enterprise applications can now be developed without writing a single line of code by specifying instructions in plain text and leveraging any kind of relevant knowledge bases from a variety of data sources, be it in documents, presentations, or even databases, for example. Teams can now create these custom GPTs, if you will, or chatbots or assistants or agents tailored to their specific needs. And another unique aspect that these LLMs brought, truly conversational interfaces to interact with variety of software systems. Even in conventional software applications, chat is fast becoming the preferred and primary interaction model. And to be able to ensure that these AI experiments, these AI apps become successful, that's something that you can rely on and use it at your work, in your organizations and teams, it is really critical that we provide access to these models in the first place, create these capabilities in a way that those are accessible to regular users, and provide them that safe and secure environment so they can actually play around and build these applications. The most important part of this is that now that plain language is becoming the primary interaction, not only to use applications but also to create, it's very important to make these capabilities accessible to every team member in your organization. Technical, non-technical, doesn't matter at all. And abstract away some of these complexities with respect to how to create the infrastructure, the workflows, all the other back-end infrastructural tasks, if you will. And of course, creating a shareable catalog of sample applications, reusable prompt libraries, and a little bit of training so that you can accelerate the adoption of that platform in your organization. And precisely in this context, I would like to share about the GenAI platform that we have built initially for our internal teams, but now we are using it for our customers as well. We have built this GenAI platform that allows anybody in our teams, irrespective of their technical aptitude, to be able to quickly create a conversational chatbot or an assistant, but that is also grounded on information that is provided by the author of this chatbot from variety of data sources. And kind of this is now possible to do so in about 5 minutes once you have an idea. So once you can get the chatbot up and running in under 5 minutes, it will allow you to iterate faster, quickly test them, refine the prompts, refine the knowledge bases. And once you feel good about the work, the quality of the work, the way it is able to process information and present information, then you can actually share with everybody else in the organization. And as I mentioned, we do support federal agencies, and we made sure that this can be deployed in entirety into any customer environment. The initial version of this product was built as a CDK project with everything needed, including infrastructure, the databases for vector stores, the orchestration, the workflows, the pipelines, the access control. Everything is built using CDK so that we can deploy to AWS. We have different versions now available that will make this entire platform available to be deployed into Azure or Google Cloud or onto on-premises as long as you have a Kubernetes infrastructure. This platform has been set up to connect to LLM models across the board. Either they are offered on AWS Bedrock, OpenAI directly, or Azure OpenAI, or models on Google Vertex, or pretty much anywhere as long as you have access to the API for hosted models. And if you want to host your own models, then of course it is very specific to the cloud. On AWS, for example, you could set them up into the SageMaker to be able to make them available for the platform. And the platform comes with handy pre-built features, for example, that will take care of most of the setup so that the end users can just concentrate on fine-tuning their apps and making sure everything is up to snuff in terms of security. And by making automation tools more accessible across the organization, it definitely sparks that creativity because everybody is excited about able to use ChatGPT or a tool, something like ChatGPT that they can build for themselves that will help in their own work. And of course, it will boost their productivity if they could use their own work as well. This means your team can definitely streamline some of these workflows in all kinds of shapes and capabilities and present them in a safe and secure space so that everybody in the team can experiment with these ideas and create amazing applications. To be able to streamline and automate the infrastructure, the pipelines, the workflows, and the most importantly, the security aspects, we have looked at different use cases and different applications and quickly standardized in all these varieties of applications and use cases based on a few basic capabilities into 4 different groups. The first and foremost important one is chatbots. These are probably the first application any user try, even on our platform. And this primary use case is that this will enable users to interact with applications using natural language, and users can ask questions and receive answers based on the context. And this is completely grounded in the private knowledge bases that the authors of the chatbots provide. And there are connectors available to load this information from SharePoint, Confluence, or just upload documents directly. The next set of capabilities are grouped into what we call as agents. The agents are like chatbots, but they're autonomous, that they can autonomously make decisions to decide the flow or the number of iterations, for example, to prepare appropriate answers or act on behalf of the user, or just simply navigate a multi-step process or a workflow. These agents will have the ability to access different tools, APIs, or functions, and also will have access to data sources to gather all relevant information and let them make the decisions to execute that particular workflow. And they can iterate through multiple steps to provide a final response to the user. And sometimes they can also act on behalf of the user, like creating a task list or placing an order or updating status in a tool like Jira, for instance. And the next one is my favorite, is what we call as AI for BI. Every business collects tons of data, and many enterprises have extensive teams and systems to be able to extract insights, analysis, and reports every single day. However, in many cases, it usually takes days to weeks to be able to get an answer when a business team has a question about something. Because this typically requires teams to go back and identify the right data sources, fetch the data, put it in a space or a safe area to be able to process the data or create alternate views to be made them accessible, and then extract those insights and deliver those insights. And if the business team happens to have a follow-up question, which happens all the time based on the information that is provided, typically the next iteration goes in a very similar workflow, again, days to weeks. But now, thanks to LLMs, we can let these business users ask questions directly in natural language. The orchestrator that will rely on these LLMs, first of all, to identify what data sources are appropriate, fetch the data, process the data, and summarize the data to be able to answer that question. And best case is also that it will also provide all the necessary background, how it arrived, how did it process, pretty much explaining the process of going through answering that question itself, along with the evidence is presented to the user. And this can happen within a matter of probably 1 to 5 minutes instead of days or weeks. We noticed our quickest question on AI BI solutions is about 35 seconds to 3 minutes. But it may take longer based on your use case, or quicker based on number of data sources it need to look at, number of iterations, number of queries it need to make, kind of stuff. And it is possible with all the new frameworks coming up. You can do all these iterations in parallel, the number of queries in parallel, and quickly iterate that so that you can actually improve the latency to get the responses even faster. And these apps can also support data visualization, not just presenting a textual summary, but also data visualization, prepare PowerPoint decks if you want, or generate reports or dashboards, along with the summaries and insights in natural language. So when you prepare a report, you're not only looking at the visual aspect of the data presented, but also the textual explanation of what happened or what is happening with the data and the key insights in that report itself. And it's so easy and totally accessible. Everybody can understand it. It's textual, it's graphical, combined, and it's automated. The most important part is this can happen in real time. And the fourth group of applications, and these are probably the most powerful in this group, are what we call as agent crews. An agent crew represents essentially a team of self-organizing agents that can collaborate with each other to perform a little bit more complicated tasks. These agents will work together, assume different roles and responsibilities, bring that specialization aspect, and automate and refine those processes to create that final answer. And these are particularly valuable for multi-step tasks, preparing reports, for example, or doing analysis, automatic security testing, for instance, and others, and even preparing comprehensive documentation, for example, that will take multiple iterations, multiple roles and responsibilities. So these are the 4 groups of capabilities. And for each group, we were able to identify exactly what is needed to support these use cases, the infrastructure, the workflows, the pipelines for RAG stores, for example, plus the observability aspect of being able to see every piece of backend interactions that are happening to facilitate that response so that developers and technically savvy users have all the information that they need to be able to evaluate, validate the responses, look at the performance issues, and go and refine them as needed. By offering a self-service platform, team members throughout the organization now can easily whip up and launch these apps without long development cycles that we used to have. And it also speeds up innovation because now everybody that has an idea can easily and quickly create these apps, and everything else is taken care for them. And in our journey, of course, we also teamed up with federal agencies to see what kind of workloads we want to support, what kind of use cases we want to support, and make sure that whatever we build, that solution, it can smoothly go live in customers' environments. And every team should be able to try these things out in a safe and secure space and smoothly move to production whenever they're ready. So to make it happen, we come up with a serverless platform that is super flexible and includes all the things that are required, like an all-in-one platform. And it plays nice with all the hosted models as well as your custom models. For example, if you want to tap into any models that are hosted on AWS Bedrock, you can do, or if you want to connect directly to OpenAI or host your custom model, you will be able to do that as well in the safe confines of that specific cloud provider. In this case, the initial version was built with AWS, so you can run everything in a safe and secure way in the AWS account itself. And of course, it got the power to reach into a variety of data sources within your AWS account, as well as across different accounts, guaranteeing that there is a safe setup and data privacy across your accounts and your applications. Nothing is going beyond the security boundary with respect to the data or the privacy is concerned. I would like to quickly show this simplified platform architecture. This is, I made sure to bring it to the essential model so that everybody can see what it takes to build this platform. And on top of it, of course, you will build lots of additional modules and additional customizations. But this will give you a good gist of what it takes to build a platform like this. Starting with, you need an interface, or you will be using some kind of a client applications that will interact with API. So I'm not showing the UI piece of it. You can build it as an SPA using React or Angular or Vue, for example, that will serve as an UI layer for your application that will interact with the APIs. And this architecture shows what it takes to build that API behind the scenes that can provide these rich capabilities into the platform. So you have some kind of an authorization and authentication mechanism. We're just using Cognito in this case and federated with single sign-on if needed to connect to your enterprise IAM controls. And an API gateway that will accept the requests that are coming in. To be able to support streaming, of course, you have other mechanisms I'll touch upon just in a minute. And the crux of the solution is what we call as an orchestrator. This could be a container service or a microservice or a group or a series of microservices that will work in collaboration to orchestrate the workflow that you need to be able to answer that question. For example, if it is a straightforward chatbot, it will directly go and hit the Bedrock API and get the responses back. Or if the RAG store, it will include going to the RAG, bring the context, include that context, and go back to the Bedrock model and then get the response back. And every interaction with the agents, AI for BI, or the multi-agent crews, all the crux of the interaction happens inside the orchestrator. And it will be relying on LLMs to do some of that work, but orchestrators are the most important pieces in this specific context. And that's as simple as that. once you have an orchestrator and once you have an API accessible to reach out to an LLM, this will give you everything you need to be able to build a GenAI platform. Of course, you need access to your data sources, APIs, functions, and whatnot, as well as workflows and pipelines setup that will allow you to upload documents into your RAG store and convert them into and store them into RAG store for easy access later on as part of your queries. On top of it, you will be building lots of other building blocks, but this is the essential skeletal architecture that anybody can build this platform very quickly and then refine that platform later on. It's been close to a year now since we launched the first version of our platform, and we have come a long way and want to share a few things that will probably help you out if you're also thinking or already building a platform like this on your own. The secret sauce to crafting this top-notch platform for your organizations and clients is training and education, because everybody's excited, but they're also scared a little bit on not to lose their data, not to create another security incident, and worried about what kind of information is fed back into these models and that somehow their information doesn't show up in public anywhere. So it's very super important to train everyone in the system, not just technical folks like developers and testers, but everyone, so that they will have the foundational skills like writing a simple prompt, asking the right question, right way, so that LLM can bring you more relevant answers. Since a lot of these folks are also new to GenAI apps, adding and allowing them to experiment is really key, because we cannot allow them to come up with the right prompt the first time. That experimentation is key, and allowing them to make mistakes is key, and giving them that immediate feedback as part of the cost that is incurred based on their query, the latency aspects, the performance aspects, the bias aspects, the efficiency with how it was able to pull that information from RAG. So provide all that information as a feedback to the users, but make sure that let them quickly experiment in a private space. And whenever they're ready, let them share it with everybody else in the system. And if it is developers, DevOps, security folks, by allowing them to start using tools like GitHub Copilot, they get better with asking questions, working with copilots, and then that also allow them to build applications like copilots by themselves by using these capabilities. And organize some fun hackathons in safe spaces so that everybody can dive into examples, get inspired by looking at what everybody else is doing, and get the lowdown on how to use it, how to create these apps like a pro. And when you're building up your platform, it is really crucial to organize these applications and capabilities based on skills, based on use cases, and some sample apps as well. This will help everybody to understand what is available, get inspired by looking at what everybody else in your organization are doing, and then quickly start their own experiments. And make sure that whatever you build, abstract away all the complexity and show the simple interface that everybody can use it. And that is the key for success of any platform. And it's also really important that it's going to be a long journey for you as your team as well that are building this platform. Treat it like a product. Start with an MVP, gather some user input, see how they're using, where they're fumbling, what is working, what is not working, and then constantly beef up those features. And then you can unlock additional use cases, additional capabilities, and additional security aspects. And of course, a lot more metrics that will make sense to your users as well. As I said, it's a journey, it's a long journey. That learning and adaptation is really important to be able to build any platform, but GenAI specifically as well. And when we adopt a little bit more structured approach to giving training to all kinds of users, giving them those spaces for experimentation and taking their feedback and iteratively build it, I think you definitely will pave the way for building a really strong platform that caters to changing needs and evolving use cases in your organization, and of course for your customers as well. So with that, I will want to quickly run down a few highlights as a summary from this conversation. It is really important to provide a safe and secure sandbox for your users. And as I said earlier, try to optimize your experiences for the non-technical users first, because the language or the lingua franca for generative AI experience is the natural language. And we want to empower everybody in your organization to be able to do so. Make sure you optimize your experiences for the non-technical users, and also create that environment where they can learn from each other, looking at the catalog of applications, catalog of capabilities, demos, as well as shareable prompt libraries, for example, go a long way. With that, I would like to take this moment to thank you very much for joining this discussion on platform engineering, especially building a GenAI platform. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn if you would like to connect and continue this conversation. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.